I'm going to make a prediction.
Okay.
I say Jose Caballero's their shortstop in the playoffs. He's not a comfortable player right now. If he's ever going to be again, I don't know. But, like, you can't try to win a championship where every ground ball to shortstop is this.
Hello and welcome to the Pinstripe Post. My name is Ryan Sampson, the host and producer of the show. He's the star of the show, Joel Sherman, in studio. Today is Monday, September 8th. Joel, the Yankees won 2 series. We had highlighted last week about how important this stretch was going to be for the New York Yankees and if they wanted to actually make some damage here to get into the playoffs and secure a playoff spot. They win the series in Houston. They win the series over the weekend against the first-place Blue Jays. They're now 2 games back in the AL East. We're going to discuss all of this. But before we get to anything, as always on a Monday, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm great, Ryan. I actually always appreciate you asking. So can I turn the tables? How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm happy about the Yankees. Very disappointed with the Jets. We had just talked about this before. Football, they know how to get you, and just the Jets always find a way to lose a football game.
Can I give you a thought I had?
Yeah.
So the 4 New York teams essentially started at 1 o'clock yesterday. 1:30, that kind of thing. And by the end, 3 had lost and the Yankees had won. And I thought to myself, the last 30 years or so, this has actually been a lot of what's gone on. And because the Yankees have set a standard, we are very critical of the Yankees.
Yeah.
And they're the one team in town that is always good.
It's true.
It's interesting. And look, their credo that they say to be held to is championship or bust.
Right.
So we hold them to it. But they do get in position to try to win one on almost an annual basis. Like, I don't know, like if you watched the Giants yesterday, it's hard to imagine how they'd win 5 or 6 games, right? So anyway, I didn't mean to go off topic, but it's just because we're doing a Yankee webcast and we do it every week and we tend to be fairly critical of them. It is important to remember they're just about to, and I know this frustrates fans, have a winning record again for every year since 1993. It's really impressive, like that. Like 1 year you don't get sunk by injuries, or you don't make the right trade, or the production of guys you expect to go down, and you just have enough, and suddenly you have the 76 and 86 season.
Yeah,
they haven't had that since 1992. It is amazingly consistent and pretty superb for a long time.
And they deserve their flowers for that, right? Like, it's not easy to build a winning organization every single season.
And as we're seeing with, like, people will say, well, like money, Steve Cohen's throwing money at the Mets, right? He threw big money the year after they made the playoffs. At the end of the year, by the middle of the year, they're trading Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer. By the end of the year, they're firing Buck Showalter. Yep. Like, this year has not gone, like, it's good they're going to get in, which is something. But, like, I don't think throwing money at the problem, if you don't throw it with some level of intelligence, matters, and it's like I'm at the game on Saturday, and like Fernando Cruz comes in and he pitches well again, and I say, Jose Trevino for Fernando Cruz is a heck of a trade.
Yeah.
Like, and again, I'm sure we'll go into some critical stuff. We tend to be very critical, but I did think as those 4 games are going on, and I am monitoring all 4 games. I was really interested in Sproat pitching for the Mets, so I got an eye on that because I wanted to watch it, and I'm just like, this is a metaphor for about the last 30 years. Obviously, the Giants have won some Super Bowls, etc. The Knicks have gotten better these last few years. But in this town, there's one consistently excellent team. It's the team we talk about every week.
Yeah, and look, like you said, they set that standard for us as fans, for you covering them for many years. And that's the expectations we had. And credit to them, they had a good...
Okay, now let's kill them.
Yeah, I don't want to kill them because they had a good week. They
did what we were talking about last week, right, Ryan? We said these 12 games, and look, they're halfway home. Mm-hmm. So let's see what happens, are critical to prove that you could face good teams and beat them, and they've done that so far. I'm going to highlight something, Ryan, that I think is... I've been trying to find a way to say, like, I think we've said it even. You could convince me the Yankees get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs, and you could convince me they win the World Series.
It's the same way you analyzed them in the offseason before the season started. You said, Ryan, I could see this being the best team in the American League, or I could see this team completely not making the playoffs if they don't hit on what they did in the offseason.
So here's the thing that I think highlights this. The Brewers have the best record in baseball. Mm-hmm. They have it by 5.5 games. The next 9 teams are within 5.5 games in the whole sport, and that includes the Yankees and the 3 teams they're playing, and the 4 teams they're playing in this bunch. And so the reason I highlight that is because I think I said last week, and it's still true today, by the end of this bunch, because they're playing Detroit for 3 and then Boston, they could actually be at the top of the AL East. They could have the best record
in the
American League by the end of this, or they could fall towards the bottom of the wild card or put themselves, I think it's going to be hard to put themselves in, say, playoff danger.
Yeah.
Like it would take a lot of losing and a lot of winning by a Kansas City.
And the schedule lightens up after this tough stretch.
Though I think Baltimore's a little better.
You're the second person I've heard today talk about Baltimore playing spoiler against these teams.
Yeah, they've played sharper, and they have some starting pitching that works, but I do think the Yankees will probably get to 90 now. 90 should get you in. But it is interesting that when you watch Houston say hard for 3 games, you go, wow, they swing at a lot of pitches and
they're laying dumb bunts down in
situations. Dumb. Then you watch Toronto, and it's and by the way, the Yankees didn't play well yesterday.
No.
They threw the ball around again. There was some ugly stuff, and they found a way to win the game. A 3-run homer, and I thought Fried really buckled down, and then they got good relief pitching at the end. It was interesting. This is the thing. He's going to have to keep using Devin Williams.
Yeah.
You have to. You only have a certain number of pitchers, and he's going to see it. And it's what I kind of wanted to say here, Ryan. I don't know how the playoffs are going to go, right? I really don't know who's going to win because, the Brewers are good, but are they that good that you think they're going to win 3 series? Maybe. They've never won a World Series in their history. Maybe this is their year. I think the team that's going to win, or maybe the 2 teams that get there, is they're going to get really hot work from 8 to 10 pitchers in the postseason. And it will probably be inexplicable. Yeah. It will be the patron saint of this for me always is Graham Lloyd. Yankees trade for Graham Lloyd in August. It goes so bad, they try to rescind the trade. They claim they didn't know about a cortisone shot. They're trying to get out of it. He barely makes the postseason. He makes the postseason roster because I think they have to bring either 10 or 11 pitchers. And they look around, they have nobody else. And then they don't win the championship that year without Graham Lloyd, who pitches brilliantly in each round of the playoffs, especially in the World Series where he shuts down Ryan Klesko and Fred McGriff for the Braves. So it's if you watched Graham Lloyd for the last 6-7 weeks of that season, whatever you think about Devin Williams, it would be, and by the way, they got him from Milwaukee.
I know.
Also, Graham Lloyd, just like Devin Williams. Whatever you think of Devin Williams, I'm telling you, it was that on steroids. That's how bad Lloyd was that year. And so, could Devin Williams and Camilo Doval pitch well for 3 weeks or 4 weeks? I mean, they're talented guys, or they could knock the Yankees out in the first round. Whichever team I think gets a good unit going for 3 weeks, a month, would that be Tyler Rogers? Can Helsley get his act together? It's not impossible. That Ryan Helsley is a really talented guy.
The reliever of the year last year, wasn't he?
So, why couldn't he get it together?
Yeah.
And so I don't know who's going to win because I don't know which group of pitchers is going to make it tough for a month. Not they won game 2 and lost game 1 and they lost game 2. Somebody I think will get hot. Who that's going to be?
Toss up in the air. I know. Yeah, so it's interesting you bring it up that way because I think last year I look for me the Yankees were clear-cut the best team in the American League. They went up against a bad AL Central and they got their way through the playoffs, made it into the World Series, but they had their flaws. They had you pointed out every time someone just got to play good baseball against them, make them throw the ball around the diamond, make good plays in the field, and you can beat this Yankees team. I wonder, do you see the same issues with this Yankees team this year? Are they bad defensively? Because I look at a guy like Cody Bellinger and a guy like Paul Goldschmidt. They've played really well defensively for this Yankee squad. Ryan McMahon's been a really nice addition defensively for the Yankees. He actually had a big home run this past week against Houston, I thought. Are they good enough defensively to answer those questions if they have them if they are going to get in the playoffs and make a run?
Ryan, you highlighted something. They're better at some stuff. Ryan it got lost in the game. Ryan McMahon made a play. I don't even know because I'm not watching on television. I'm obviously at the game on Saturday on a pop-up down the left field line in the rain where, again, it's Jason Dominguez's ball, and if he lets Jason Dominguez try to get it, The ball lands. It would have been foul, just foul, but it lands. Your pitcher doesn't get an out. You're suddenly in the whatever. Rain coming down on him over his head. And I thought, what a great major league play he just made. And I think that a lot watching him.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Yankees are paying him $15 million next year and the $15 million the year after. If one WAR is really a $10 million thing, I think his defense alone is almost a 2 WAR thing. Can he hit 200 with 22 homers? Like you know what I mean? Is you want more. But like if he's hitting 8th and playing third base that way, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to be frustrating for Yankees fans. He's going to strike out a lot. He's going to hit low. Like, if Volpe were fielding and stealing bases, like, you could live
with that.
With the other thing, like, it was kind of his rookie year where he fielded at least.
But let's not forget also how the Yankees started the third base position at the beginning of the year. They didn't have a third baseman.
Right.
You were looking at the corpse of DJ LeMahieu and seeing if he could get back on the field healthy, and he showed that he wasn't a major league player at that point.
I mean, you do see it. I find it fascinating. Like, Alex Verdugo was the everyday left fielder for an AL champion last year. He isn't in Major League Baseball right now. Anthony Rizzo was the first baseman. He hasn't played at all. Marcus Stroman was in their rotation. He didn't get picked up by anyone. DJ LeMahieu, they tried. He hasn't been picked up. They had, like, some people who were holding important spots who kind of seemed like they're done. Right? Like they didn't get picked up anyplace else, which I think is fascinating.
But McMahon provides something that you just talked about,
especially when you have lefty ground ball guys like Fried in particular, and Rodon has ground ball numbers have spiked. He's pitched very well, and his ground ball numbers spiked. So your third baseman and your shortstop have to be able to field. And so, like, I would use yesterday as the example, which is, are you better at third base? You are. Is Jazz a better second baseman than third baseman? He is, though there's some there. But the ball's going to find your weaknesses. Mm-hmm. And the ball kept finding Judge. The ball kept finding Volpe. The ball kept finding Ben Rice. Like, it's the major leagues. The ball's going to find you. And, like, Judge is actually a terrific defender, but not this version of him. He could go get it, but he can't throw right now, regardless of whatever their nonsense cover stories are. And the Yankees have clearly, like, to me, the Yankees with Judge have made a decision a little bit like their decision on this version of Stanton is, even if there's a play at the plate, do not change your gait.
Yep.
Run like the most important thing you could do is bat 4 times a game. And I think with Judge, they're playing the most important thing you could do is bat 4 times a game, allow us to also bat Stanton 4 times a game as the DH, go get it in the outfield, and then lob it in.
Yep.
Like, be a good defender, and we'll just concede. We'll act like we have a bad throwing right fielder who doesn't. Now, what's the problem with that? The problem is you have a weakness. The Yankees won a game Saturday in part because Cody Bellinger threw a guy out at the plate from right field.
Hell of a throw, too.
And he's a terrific, like I described him in my column as a Swiss Army genius. Like, wherever you put him, left, center, right, first, he's a good player with a high baseball IQ. He's completely nonplussed by big situations. He's really good. He's really a good player.
Another credit for Brian Cashman in the offseason for getting Cody Bellinger
for nothing.
For nothing, Cody Petit.
You're taking on the money, and I know people will say, well, again, the money, and I would look back and say 20 teams should have taken on that money. 100%. They took on a lot worse money. Cody Bellinger might get down ballot MVP votes.
He's a 5-WAR player right now.
Right? Like, he'll probably get some 5 to 10 MVP votes. Like, right, there's 10 guys on a ballot. He's having a wonderful year. I mean, Kyle Tucker would have cost them Luis Heel plus other prospects. Kyle Tucker separated himself from Cody Bellinger?
Yeah, I don't think so right now at this point. So going back to what you were saying, though, about the defensive part of this, with Judge now in right field, because we see him for the first time, now playing the field. He didn't cut it loose on Friday night on a throw at home.
Or Saturday. He didn't play Saturday.
Or yesterday. So
even the one they claim he threw, this is the thing that bothers me about the Yankees. They want you to be a blind amnesiac. They want to act like you can't see and you can't remember.
Right.
Okay? Like, we see what Judge is doing, and we remember what he has done for the past 8.5 years which is he's an aggressive thrower. He's also should be an aggressive thrower. He's got a great arm, and he's true with it. So when I see a hump in the throw on the good throw, I know he's protecting his arm. And by the way, that's probably the smart thing to do. Look, you never know. Cole had an injury last year. He ended up needing Tommy John. Maybe the guy is protecting it because they know he needs an operation in the offseason. And they're like, if you do this, you can hit and field at this level for the rest of the year.
Right.
And then on November, whatever, now again, I'm not like, who knows? I want to be clear. But like,
it's state secrets over there,
like, would you rather have 80% of Judge or no Judge? Clearly, he's one of the 2 or 3 best players on the planet. I just don't ever understand the Yankees' lack of honesty when it comes to these things. When Judge is saying, "I wouldn't be out there if I wasn't 100%." Well, we could see you're not 100%.
We're not 100%.
Is that really what you want to be?
Yeah.
Like, and again, I always appeal to this. I wrote it in the column Saturday for Sunday's paper and online at nypost.com. I don't care if Judge plays right field.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I'd just as soon all the great players be healthy when I'm there and they play spectacular. I'd rather it be interesting than not interesting, the great players. But I'm not a Yankee fan. I don't care. But I assume if you're reading my column, you care. You're a Yankee fan. You care. So I'm asking you, are you going to play right field? When? At what status? I'm not selling it like heroin on the street.
Yeah.
I'm putting it in the newspaper. I'm putting it online. We're talking about it here for the fans. When you say you're 100%, do you understand you're being dishonest with the fans?
Right.
That I know you think it's just me, and you're looking at me and thinking my career doesn't matter, and you could lie to me. Like, we should only respect your career. We shouldn't respect my career, right? Like, I'm respectful of you and everything you do. Can you try to meet me at the same level of professionalism and not say you're 100% when it's so clear you're not?
Do you think the athletes are hiding like that type of information because, and maybe we're overlooking into this, because they think it gives an advantage to the other team? The other team sees the same stuff that we're seeing on the field.
But John Schneider said,
yeah,
we were running on him, like before the game. We're going to, every
test
team,
them.
like, by the way, anybody comes back from an injury in any sport.
Have to test them.
You're going
Absolutely.
to get tested. Like, the Yankees would test it about the guy who's coming back from a leg injury, arm injury, whatever way you could test them. So, like, it isn't like you're revealing state secrets.
Right.
The second you throw the ball for the first time, everybody knows. So everybody knows now. Why continue this? And, like, and I know that a lot of this stems, we've talked about this previously on the show. I'll do it as quick as I can. He's hit by a Jacob Junis pitch in late July 2018. The Yankees' initial thing was it will take about 3 weeks till he could swing a bat. It didn't heal well. He was in a lot of pain, and it took longer than 3 weeks to swing a bat, and then about like 7 weeks to get back on the field. Like, and he has claimed that people were critical of him for taking too long to get back. I don't remember that. Anybody who did that is an idiot, right? Like injuries are. Like, these are broken bones. Like, and by the way, whatever criticism you might have of Aaron Judge, none of them would be that he doesn't love to play.
No.
None of them would be he doesn't take his job seriously.
No.
None of them would be he doesn't have great understanding of his place with the Yankees and that sense of responsibility to be on the field.
Yeah.
Like, Bob, 69 Yankee fan with an egg avatar, like, if you go looking for it, I'm sure he'll call you a malingerer.
100%.
Like, he'll probably say right now, why don't you throw the ball harder? Like, I think you can say, hey, if you're Aaron Boone, you could say 85% of Aaron Judge is like well over 100% of almost every player.
And it gives us our best chance with Stanton in the lineup and Judge playing defense. Absolutely.
It's a process. We believe he'll throw the ball fully at some time during this. Who knows when that time is because he's doing it. But like I remember, and this is not apples to apples, but they just on the anniversary of this, they showed when David Cohn came back from his shoulder aneurysm. It was Labor Day weekend in Oakland. He threw 7 no-hit innings, right? And the Yankees said to him in the minor leagues, he was on a minor league rehab, and he called Bob Watson, who was the GM, and he said, I only got a certain number of bullets. Let's not waste them in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
Whatever this version is of me, it's enough.
Yeah.
Now, it turned out to be a great version of him. But the point was, even if he was compromised, it was David Cone, and it was going to be better than whoever else was going to start the game. It's Aaron Judge. You could say, well, like, he's gotten to the point where we think he won't hurt himself, at least doing it 80%.
Right.
We're going to act like he's a bad throwing outfielder for a while. We hope he's a good throwing outfielder like he always is at some point. I just don't know why. I think it's the whole freaking society now, from politics into our sports, into our celebrity, where the first instinct is to be dishonest. And to create a cover story that is ridiculous. Like, the cover story is ridiculous. We're watching this.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And by the way, like, kudos to Judge to not wait till he's 100%.
Right. That's
like,
the Derek Jeter mindset, I think. And this is what I wanted to bring up, because I remember Jeter famously, like, and I know other guys have done this too, if I'm healthy enough to be out there, I'm going to be out there and play. And he'll say that. He's like, I may not be 100%, but I'm good enough to play. I'm going to be out there and play every day.
Great point. I'm glad you brought this up. So Chili Davis, who I admired as a guy and a player as much as almost anyone I covered during the year, when it came to injuries, he used to say, I'm not talking about it. If I'm playing, I'm good enough to play.
Right.
If I'm not playing, I'm not good enough to play. There's no excuses if I play. But that's different than telling me you're 100%. Mm-hmm. That's your policy. That's your policy. I got it. I have lots of respect for you.
Yeah.
Okay? But the manager doesn't have to do that. The institution doesn't have to do that. And I would even say Judge doesn't have to do that, where he's like wherever I am, it's good enough for all of us to believe that I'm the best guy to help the team right now. And once we see him play, no, you'd have to be a fool to be critical of him because he can throw.
Yeah.
Because it's like being critical of Stanton for not running hard.
Yeah.
Like, do you want Stanton to bat 4 times?
100%.
Of course.
But it took a while, I think, for Yankees fans, Joel, to recognize that, right? And I think even for writers, too, you're like, man, he's not hustling out there. But it's like, no. He's doing that for the long haul because he knows I'm my best if I am in the lineup 4 times.
I kind of got it right away. I understood what was going on.
Yankees fans, it was tough for us to understand, right? Because, like, look, this guy's paying $30 million a year. It's like he's not even playing the field anymore. He's a full-time DH.
Break down if he goes hard. And it's better that he doesn't get the extra base X number of times, but he bats 4 times.
Right.
The other team is going to get the extra base on Aaron Judge. The questions will be, do you defend for him late? That's always dangerous because you're taking his bat out if the game gets tied or something.
I don't think you can take his bat out ever, right? I mean, he's
so
valuable.
Yesterday was an interesting one, don't you think? So he gets on first base. Could you run Caballero?
This is the bottom of the 8th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Run Caballero, try to steal the base. Caballero's leading the league in steals, right? He's such a good base stealer. And then put Caballero in right. I would suspect Aaron Boone. I actually texted Dan Martin, and I said, interesting, right? And then Dan asked Boone, and Boone kind of gave a non-answer answer. And again, I think there's something to educating us on how the manager thinks. If I was guessing what Aaron Boone was thinking, he was thinking, it's more likely that a ball will be hit that could land, and Judge covers more ground than Caballero, or is more confident in right field. Plus, if the game gets tied and we get to, especially maybe not the 9th, but the 10th inning, I want Judge's bat still in the lineup. It's 52-48, 50-50. I get it. Who would, and for the people who don't get it, why are you building your whole philosophy about how you talk to reporters around people who don't get it?
Yeah.
They're going to troll you no matter what you do. Educate us. I think that's a 50-50 call. I'd be fascinated why you made the 50-50 call the way you did. Really why you did it, as opposed to say as little as possible, don't tell the fans, don't do anything. In fact, let's lie to the fans. I'm 100%. That's a lie. We could sugarcoat it. It's just not honest. And if you want to handle it the Chili Davis way, personally, I have nothing but respect for you. Love Chili Davis. Stand-up guy, great. Every time I see him, great. You could do it that way. But I actually think in this case, you could say, you see what I am. Mm-hmm. We're trying our best to look at this as from 20,000 feet that we think we're going to play in and through October. And hopefully there'll be a moment where in this progression, I could really let it go. And, okay, got it. good luck. Ryan, I don't understand lying I don't understand dismissing and obfuscating and throwing people off and acting, by the way, like we don't have jobs that are important to us. Like when somebody is dishonest with me, you know what they're saying? You're such an idiot, you'll believe it.
Yeah.
I'm watching this. I'm not going along with the plan. I don't have fucking amnesia. I've seen you play the fucking outfield. Okay? I know what it looks like. That isn't it.
But it's what you highlighted at the beginning of this whole conversation, though, is they're best defensively with Bellinger in left, Grisham in center, and Judge in right. But now you're asking yourself, and that's where I started this whole thing, are they good enough defensively for the playoffs?
The ball is going to find them.
The ball's going to find them. I think that's what the highlighted
perfectly. And so the question
perfectly.
is, does the ball find them enough to negate either him or Stanton not batting 4 times?
Right.
Or putting Stanton out there who might throw better but can't get to as many balls and runs a greater risk of injuring himself. So, by the way, Aaron Boone could talk about all this. Honestly, hey, this is the toolbox I have. I have an older player with a lot of lower leg injuries in Stanton who's just as good a hitter today as he's ever been, as dangerous. We've seen him play big games. We got to have this guy upright playing on October 1st. So I play him in the outfield a little. He actually kind of hits when I play him in the outfield, and like he seems to like it, and so far he's handling it, but I can't overplay him.
No.
And there's things he won't get to, and we just say, let it hit the wall, pick it up, throw it in. Got it. Like, there's Judge at his compromise level, or there's Dominguez in left, Grisham in center, and Bellinger in right, and I've got to make a tough decision on it's not a tough decision. Whatever Stanton's doing, and it's brilliant, he's going to DH Judge. Judge's bat's going to be in the lineup every day.
Yeah.
So the question becomes, who plays, Judge or Stanton, if you take them both out of the field? So I just think he's going to put a compromised player in right a lot. And then the question is, which compromised player are you going to
go with?
And then the question becomes also, because Dominguez never even became close to an average defender, is what is your defensive alignment? Is Caballero a good enough defender in the outfield to say, Judge, who's ever played right field, Judge or Stanton has batted in the bottom of the 8th, and you lead by a run. Do you bring Caballero?
And then you're risking, like you just highlighted, though, if you get an extras, game gets tied, you're taking
It's
Judge or
Caballero's bat and not Stanton or Judge's bat.
That's a big difference.
Why not talk about it?
No, I know.
Like, by the way, let's all get our baseball PhDs. This is a 50-50 discussion. There is, like, the wrong answer is going to be what 2020 hindsight. Right now, it's a fascinating baseball question, and I'd love to know what the manager thinks. Will we get inside his head? Not from the history.
Yeah.
And I think it's because he knows things will get twisted maybe, but like those people are going to twist your words anyway. Like you're not – the trolls of the world, the talk radio trolls and all this, they're there. That's how
That's how they're making their living.
Right. And so like no matter what you do, quiet. So why not at least offer to people who are curious and your fan base, which is curious, to sit there and go, yeah, that – like, which fan wouldn't? You're a fan. It's a tough decision, right?
It absolutely is.
What would you do?
I wouldn't take Judge or Stanton's bat out of the lineup.
So you have to put a compromised player in right. But then you have to live when the mistake comes. Yes. You can't then go,
no, I won't kill him.
Right.
I can't.
But that's the point. Is like for the fan, the educated fan like that, provide the answer. Like there is a chance the ball is going to find our compromised right fielder in a bad spot. We are willing to exchange that for 8 plate appearances or 10 plate appearances from both of them.
Yeah.
Because we only get that if we put a compromised player in right field.
100%. And the reason I say it, too, is because, and this is something we should probably highlight, Giancarlo Stanton is probably having his best offensive, in my opinion, Yankees regular season performance I have seen with him in a Yankee uniform. He had that first season with the Yankees. I think he was really, really good. But, Joel, this is legitimately the Giancarlo Stanton I feel like we've been waiting for offensively as a Yankee fan. I've seen it in the playoffs in small sample sizes, but this is a large enough sample size where every time he's at the plate, you're like, he's locked in. He's either crushing the ball, he's getting on base, but he looks really, really good at the plate. What are you seeing from Giancarlo Stanton right now?
Well, I think I might have said it on the show, or maybe I did it on MLB Network, is like there's almost like to me like a Tao Giancarlo Stanton now, like this calm has come over him. This thing about like being able to be like, in some ways, I think he's the most honest, mature player on the team.
Yeah.
Like he speaks his truth. And he blocks out the outside world. Like he's not worried about let's go back to what you said before. The Yankees fans were mad about how he was running.
Yeah.
It takes an ability to really block that out to say, do you think Stanton might also be the smartest guy on the team? A guy as smart as him, he knows what's being said and what it looks like. To still be able to say, I'm not going to, that last step, if I could just, because he understands the last step is going to blow him out. And then that is a much worse outcome than fans going, come on, man. Like it takes a certain maturity,
fortitude,
and blinders.
Yeah.
Like to say, I know the ecosystem of fan and media now. I must block it out. And I think by getting singular focused on this relationship, can I hit the ball? He is just locked in a way that's just like almost like total peace has come over him.
Yeah.
And it's been impressive.
It really has. And I look at what he did in Houston, and then in Friday night, even though they get him blown out, he's the only one that comes up and actually puts together competitive at-bats, hits the hell out of the baseball. I mean, he just hit some majestic home runs again. It's really refreshing to see Giancarlo Stanton, this version of him. Again, I'm really excited to see how they do this whole dance with him and Judge at the DH spot, and how Boone continues to navigate it, because like you said, it's going to rear its ugly head in the playoffs, and we'll have plenty of discussions, I'm sure, about it.
In Little League, the ball finds the right fielder too.
Yes.
Like, it's just, in basketball, you could control it a little. Your point guard doesn't have to throw the ball to the bad shooter, pretty much.
Yeah.
But in baseball, the ball's going to get hit to a lot of different guys in a lot of different ways.
Don't you think they can hide it a little bit because of as long as they're playing a home playoff game,
Yes.
It's the right field situation of a smaller outfield.
So let's talk about that, right? Which is in the Yankees' control during this period is getting home playoff games. Especially if they don't overtake Toronto, can they be the number one wild card? Mm-hmm. And if that's Boston, now again, he could play left field in Boston.
Correct.
But you'd still rather, the Red Sox are really good in Fenway, play those 2 or 3 games in the Bronx as opposed to Fenway. It's a traffic jam. It's the LIE at about 5 o'clock right now for all the teams at the top of the American League. The first 5 spots in the American League in particular are totally up in the air. Like, Detroit's under no threat. They're in, but they could fall to 3.
Yeah.
And have to play a best of 3 after being pretty dominant for the first few months of the season. They haven't been good for a while. But Toronto could be overtaken. Houston could still be overtaken. And those 5 teams can mix it up. Again, could the Yankees finish with the best record in the American League? Yeah. Can the Yankees finish with the 5th best record in the American League? Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a fun time and fascinating time to see how this is all going to play out. Listen, we have to bring up this because it continues to be a narrative for this team is Anthony Volpe. You talk about defense, talking about ball finding you at the wrong time or always find you. Anthony Volpe, another throwing error yesterday. Joel, I don't know what else to put it. There is a ton of stats I can show you right now. He's worst in baseball since August 1st in almost every offensive statistic category. That's not just among shortstops. That's among all MLB qualified hitters. They can't, listen, they can put him in 9th and try and hide him down there, but it seems like, and this still haunts me now that you brought it up a couple weeks ago. He's got the most plate appearances with runners in scoring position this season, and I feel like that's been a real on the team. Yeah. That's been a real detriment. It feels like for this team offensively.
The at bat will find you also.
Right.
The ball finds you. The at bat finds you. You can't. It's very democratic. You can't just say Judge and Stanton or Bellinger are batting in all the big spots.
So it begs the question: can they ride Anthony Volpe throughout the playoffs when they do make it?
So I write about it will come out. I write an online long column, a notes column for nypost.com.
Sports Plus, people. Subscribe if you can.
Subscribe. It's a subscription. From the Gutenberg press to 25 years ago, you had to pay to get news. You can't walk into a deli and just grab a sandwich and walk out. You got to pay for stuff. I wrote about this, and essentially the Cliff Notes version is I don't like making predictions, as you know, because in sports, we're actually going to find out who wins the division. We're going to find out who's going to win the division. We're going to find out who wins the World Series. We're going to find out who wins the MVP. Like most of life, we don't get resolution. In sports, we get resolution. Also, I don't like the whole sports ecosystem where everyone is like, oh, they're going to, they're going to win by 6 points on Sunday. And then you tell me about the one you got right and not the 3 you got wrong. So, or I got screwed. They should have kicked the extra point. Right. You lost the bet. Shut up. So I'm going to make a prediction.
Okay.
I say Jose Caballero's their shortstop in the playoffs. And here's why. I've seen multiple versions of this, and I think that there's 2 that are really parallel, one in particular. Gary Sanchez came up with great fanfare and great success early. But then the Yankees got him, and he went from being a very good hitter to a guy who was trying to pull in the air everything. And he still had the homers, but the strikeouts skyrocketed towards 30%. The batting average dropped to 200 or less, and that went on. Defensively, everything, the Yankees kept telling us, he's an above average catcher. You guys are wrong. Right. We're watching the games. Your opponents are telling us he's not an above average catcher. Right? Like, can he frame? Is he doing a thing you particularly like? Maybe. But, like, he's a problem behind the plate. And those last 3 or 4 years, whatever, Boone kept saying, he's our catcher. And then in 2020, they played 7 playoff games, and Kyle Higashioka started 5. In 2021, they played 1 playoff game. And, again, during the regular season, Sanchez played twice as often as Higashioka. Like 100 games to 50.
But Higashioka caught a lot of the Garrett Cole games during those 2 years, which is why it was so key for these wild card games, which you're mentioning.
And then the next year in the wild card game, Higashioka started and not Sanchez. So I think you could, and the one other one that's somewhat similar is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. He's our shortstop, and then they got to the playoffs, and he didn't start every game. There was some Oswaldo Peraza. I think there was an Oswald Cabrera thrown in there. And in some ways, like, we're watching this. And Cabrera has started like 3 or 4 games at shortstop. And when you watch Caballero has played 3 or 4 games at shortstop. And when you watch him play shortstop, you're like, oh, that's right. That's the natural movements of a shortstop. That's the easy arm of a shortstop throwing to first base where he's just, and it's easy. Like I always say, like, watch Anthony Volpe play. It's like watching the Tasmanian Devil play shortstop. There's hectic and the amount of torque that's needed to get a throw off. And watch, I always say, blessing, New York. I watch probably almost every inning the Mets and Yankees play. Watch the smoothness of Francisco Lindor. The ball finds the pocket on Francisco Lindor. It's a natural thing. Watch how many balls hit the pocket of Anthony Volpe as opposed to here or too high in the pocket. Like, he's not a comfortable player right now. If he's ever going to be again, I don't know. But, like, you can't try to win a championship where every ground ball to shortstop is this. You've already made this decision in left field where you can't play where every fly ball to left field is this with Dominguez.
Yeah.
That decision, now, a part of it is bats, right? Grisham and Bellinger's bats have earned the right into the everyday lineup. But it's like, the other day I'm watching Dominguez play left field. It's a ball to the wall that he should probably get to the wall and catch. He doesn't. And then he stands at the wall and watches it ricochet 40 feet, 50 feet beyond him. Like, he still doesn't know how to play.
Yeah.
And I just feel like you owe it to your team if you're the manager, the infrastructure. I know if Caballero plays more, we'll see things we don't like, right? We've already seen him get thrown out of 2 games you can't get thrown out of, right? Like, you're a part-time player. You're starting today for a very specific reason. Lefty on the mound, probably. We're going to start you here, but then we're going to move you to right field because we don't want Stanton or Judge in right field today. And you've allowed yourself to get thrown out of 2 games. Here's a guy who isn't even arbitration eligible until this offseason, and he's already been traded twice. And he's very talented. You could see how talented he is. So why have 2 organizations given up on him? You start to see a little of it, right, with those 2 ejections. So I think the more Caballero plays, the more we might say, But in the short term, when the ball's hit to him at shortstop, you're not holding your breath. Is he a great offensive player? He is not. But this version of him is so much better than Volpe, and especially what Volpe used to do well, steal some bases, is no longer part of his thing. So when Caballero's on first base, if they're getting on first base equally, and they're not, like Caballero's batting average and on-base percentage is better, Caballero's a real threat. And I just don't know how you're going to get to the biggest games, and it's not going to be Kyle Higashioka and Gary Sanchez where you look at it and say, now, the one thing you might be able to say is Volpe was terrific in the postseason last year. He was terrific. He really used right field. And again, I'll always feel like when Gary Sanchez was an all-field hitter, CC Sabathia, I want to say it was me, CC Sabathia, and A-Rod, but it was at least CC.
Name dropping over here.
In the clubhouse when they were all playing, like would have been spring of 18, maybe? Something like that. A-Rod still on the team in the spring of 18? I think so.
Was he on the 17 roster?
No.
They went to LCS?
No. So could he have been visiting? Anyway, it was at least CC. So, like, kind of did who do you think's the best hitter on the team? And I went, this guy goes, Sanchez is the best hitter on the team.
He was incredible that year.
He said, for Judge on the team.
I know, but
right.
Gary went all fields, remember?
Yeah. And then he stopped.
Yeah.
And I still feel like Volpe swinging for power on every pitch. I get what the Yankees are doing, trying to win as a three-point shooting team, as a home run team. But you can't cookie cutter everybody.
Yeah.
And he will never hit enough homers to justify the number of batted bats that are in there. Like, what would be that number? It's like Stanton, you live with every once in a while, he's going to miss the ball by 3 feet. Well, he's got 450 freaking homers, right? He won an MVP. I just feel like Volpe's fix, I believe, is as a all-fields hitting second baseman, where his arm is less of an issue than whatever this is.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like it's good enough. And I can't believe they're going to get to October 1st and play for everything and literally get into a spot where every time the ball's hit to the shortstop, they say, we don't know.
Yeah, because let's say they do make a wild card, right?
Yeah.
And they don't win the division. You got 3 games set.
Yes.
And you have 3 games to prove that you are a better baseball team. And like you said,
I wrote about this for nypost.com, Post Sports Plus tomorrow. It's all my thoughts on why I think that they'll end up
It's going to be a fascinating decision with Aaron Boone. And
I'm sure he'll let us deep into that decision.
This won't be just an Aaron Boone decision. This has to be an organizational decision, right?
Yeah.
Because you're signaling to the whole world, we don't trust this guy to even win a playoff game for us right now.
But you signaled it with Gary Sanchez, and you signaled it with Isaiah Kiner-Falefa.
But then you're making an asset completely.
And by the way, you traded Gary Sanchez for Isaiah.
That's what I'm saying, though. But you're legitimately you're telling this asset's now completely worth. It's not worth for our.
You've already done it. Have you done that with Dominguez?
Yeah. I don't know. I think he's still young. He's still very young. You hope that he's
still young. He's 24.
He's gotten more plate appearances than anyone else in baseball to prove himself here, and he has shown that he is not a capable offensive player.
Well, if he's not a capable offensive player and he's not a capable defensive player, then in the short term, before you try to fix him, you got to get him off the field.
Yeah, I agree.
I think you got to get him off the field, and I think that it reminds me very much of Sanchez and Higashioka.
It's gonna be a fascinating decision once again. I do want to give one other quick before we get to Joel's notebook. The starting rotation. I had asked you about this last week. It was really important for Rodon and Fried specifically to really carry these. I thought they both had really good performances this past week. But then Luis Gil, solid. What did you think of Cam Schlittler? Early hook for him Friday night. And what is his outlook for him in this playoffs and how they're going to work this rotation?
So I'm fascinated because I think Schlittler gets a start. Does he get a start against 3 of these 4 teams as it's lined up? Does he get Detroit? And I know he's pitching against Detroit. I think he gets Boston, too.
Yeah, so the off day today. He pitched Friday. So he gets what?
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
He gets
No,
Wednesday?
then he
no,
only
he,
gets
yeah, he
So he's at least going to get Detroit. So this is what I thought about the Schlittler start on Friday night. I thought he had great stuff.
Yeah.
I thought the Blue Jays showed who they were offensively. I went back and counted it. They fouled off 15 two-strike pitches against him in an inning and a third. 15.
Yeah.
There's teams that won't do that in multiple games, right? And 2 of the other two-strike counts, they didn't even get a chance because one guy got a hit and one guy got hit by a pitch with 2 strikes. The Blue Jays strike out the least in the major leagues. They may make it work. I think that one of the reasons it was more success for Yarborough, Rodon, and Fried is you have to concede that the ball is going to be in play. Like, we now see that statistic all the time, batting average balls in play. So your job, I think, is to see if you can throw sinkers, two-seamers, and say, this is why you got to field against them. So one of the reasons the Yankees hadn't played well, and they got away with it yesterday, is the Blue Jays are going to force you to play defense. The ball is going to be in play. And I think that pitchers, a little bit like the Yarborough thing was informative. It's like, here it is. The idea is I'm trying to take the flame out of your bat. I'm trying to keep it off the sweet spot. Sinkers, curves, whatever. Schlittler was up here, and they're fouling it off. Like, he's got great stuff, and he's now it's 100 fouled off. Like Alejandro Kirk, he's going to put it in play.
Yeah.
Bichette is going to put it in play. Vlad is great at, like with power, he's putting it in play. Like, the ball is going to be in play. A lot of these the Nathan Lukes and stuff like that, they put the ball in play. So you got to, as a pitcher, you have to say, this isn't going to be a big strikeout day. I think Hill got away with some stuff, right? Because he walked 4 guys, right?
He hasn't gotten back to the way you would
no,
hope for so
he
far,
hasn't
too.
gotten back to where he was. But but he only gave up 1 hit. The ball was in play. I thought the Yankees played terrific on defense on Saturday, and the Blue Jays didn't.
Yeah, McMahon was incredible again
right?
Saturday. Yeah.
The Blue Jays didn't play well. The Yankees put it in play. Vlad Jr., who's actually a terrific defender and could really run, by the way. A terrific defender. A ball went off his glove. That was a key play in the game. And I bet you he makes that play 9 out of 10. But he did in that game, and the Yankees out-defended them and won the game when Hill pitched. And then I thought Fried had a good game yesterday in the sense that, like, when the Blue Jays come back to tie the score relatively early in the game, you're like, how many innings is he? And he finishes 7. That was a big deal. And I actually think Yarborough
saved the bullpen, too.
Saving the bullpen on Friday night was like one of the reasons the Yankees won on Saturday and Sunday is because Ryan Yarborough took the ball and got a lot of outs on Friday. Sometimes the stuff you do in a loss helps you with a win later.
Yep. I totally agree with you, Joel. Real quick, does Cam Schlittler, is he a starter, you think, for the playoffs?
I do. Well,
do you think he's their third?
Yeah, I think it's Fried. And, look, I think this is a year teams have had a lot of trouble hitting lefty pitching.
Yeah.
And so I think you'll see the lefties, obviously. They've been the 2 key starters all year. And then I think it will be very matchup-oriented and piggyback-oriented, which is I think Yarborough, who I think has a big fortitude, not afraid, is going to piggyback on somebody.
Okay.
Like, is that Heel in the first – if it's a 3-game series, is it Schlittler? Is it Warren? Who's the opponent? How do you think their stuff plays? I think the ballpark will probably matter a little bit. We know who 2 of the starters are. And the fact that Fried has kind of gotten it back after that, 7-start period, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge because we also know that he's had some bad postseason games the last few years for Atlanta, but I think that was about the shape of his arm and stuff. We also saw him as the ace on a team that won a championship, pitched great. And so I don't think he'll be afraid of the moment. And Rodon, again, you could convince me of anything with Rodon. You could convince me of anything.
Just like the Yankees. He could be the best. He could be in the Cy Young candidate.
Because he's so talented. Yeah. And we're seeing it. He's been probably one of the, not top 5, but in the next 5 to 8 starters in the American League this year.
Yeah.
He's been really good.
Well, so that brings me to Joel's notebook. So Fried and Rodon are the first pair of left-handed teammates, starters, to both win 16 games in a season since 1998 with Andy Pettitte and David Wells. I want to go back to your time covering the Yankees. I think you were a columnist at this point, right?
Yeah, 96 I started being a columnist.
You had graduated to being a columnist. But I wanted to ask you, is there anything that comes to mind from the 98 season with those 2 guys? Maybe there's something funny you wanted to share for the Yankees fans.
Yeah, so obviously, I actually think one of the reasons, nobody has won back-to-back World Series since the Yankees won 3 in a row from 98 to 2000. And there's no singular reason why those Yankees were able to, in something that is like, depending on what you believe, there is some crapshoot element to a postseason, right? We just saw the Dodgers get like killed by the Pirates, and like some of this stuff doesn't make sense, and stuff happens in short series. But I think one of the reasons the Yankees were a dynasty was it never mattered where a series began or ended. Like if a series ended on David Cohn and you had to start Orlando Hernandez in the next series, all right. If it ended on Orlando Hernandez and you had to start David Wells in the next series, all right. If it ended on David Wells and you had to start Andy Pettitte in the next series, you were like we were talking before about like whose 8 to 10 man group is going to pitch well. Mm-hmm. Well, their 8-man group was those 4 starters, Rivera, Mendoza, Nelson, and Stanton. That gets you to a postseason. Like, all those guys were big game guys pretty much, can handle anything. Rivera's arguably the greatest big game pitcher there's ever been. Hernandez, El Duque's in the short list of greatest postseason pitchers ever. So, like they had a way with 8 guys pretty much to get through it, and it never mattered where it's like, oh, man, the Yankees won the wild card, but Free can't start till game 3 of the next round. You're going to be like, they're starting Will Warren in game 1 or something. Like if you were like, they're starting David Cohn in game 1, you went, cool. Yeah. Like, right? Yeah. Like if they're starting El Duque, cool. So that was one of it. I'll tell you an anecdote I like about David Wells, because stuff that makes me think is always my favorite things. And I think I've mentioned on this show a bunch of times how the antithesis of a lot of the stuff I've talked about today, how kind Gene Stickmichael was about explaining things and helping me understand how the wheel works and his thought process, why this guy, not that guy, and stuff. One day, Stick and I are at Himes, which is the Yankees minor league facility across the street from Steinbrenner Field. So this is a point where Stick is no longer the general manager. He's a special assistant to George Steinbrenner. And he's looking at David Wells, and he goes, Joel, look at David Wells' back. And I go, what? He goes, look at his upper back. And I go, yeah, what am I supposed to see? He goes, he is so much naturally stronger than Clemens. Look at the size of his back. And he goes, he's actually more naturally talented than Clemens. He said he could roll out of bed on January 1st, hungover, and throw a curveball for a strike. He said, can you imagine if he worked as hard as Roger Clemens, how good he'd be? And I said to Stick, maybe, but maybe one of the reasons he's good is he just doesn't give a shit. And if he cared a lot, maybe it would get into his head and it would mess with him. And Stick went, that's interesting. And we ended up having this long conversation about like you've got to live with players the way they play. And it's like the Trent Grisham is going to move a certain way. Can you live with it? Like David Wells is going to show up at a weight and in a sobriety condition, and you're going to have to decide, he's so talented, can I live with it? Ryan McMahon's going to hit 200 but field. Can I live with it? And Stick was pointing out, there's not perfect players.
No, yeah.
And he said, I wish Wells would do it. I think Wells would be a Hall of Famer if he took it as seriously as Roger. He goes, but to your point, when you're in charge, you have to live with who you get and figure out, can I live with it or not? And a lot of that, because we talk about it on the show, like what can you, like I think it's reached the point where the Yankees can't live with Anthony Volpe at shortstop playing the biggest games of the season. Like you can until you can't. And a lot of that was the kindness of Stickmichael to have that kind of conversation with me where he threw out a concept about David Wells, and then suddenly we're talking for 20 minutes about assembling a roster when you know you're not going to like things about everyone you put on the roster.
Yeah.
But can you find enough things you like about them and feel that it's all going to work to make it actually work? And I kind of always, rest his soul, so thankful that from literally the very beginning of my covering baseball everyday career, Gene Michael would answer questions by being thoughtful like that. And if you kind of like any of this stuff like we do, some of it harkens back to 30, 35 years ago when he'd have that, he'd say, hey, I saw what you wrote. I think it's wrong. Here's why. And I'd sit and go, you're right. I'll be better next time. I'll be smarter. Thanks for telling me. I understand how the wheel works in that situation now. I don't know why it doesn't happen anymore. I think it hurts coverage, which means it hurts fans. That saddens me because I want our industry to be great. And I think you can only be great if there's stick Michaels out there who are within the game who tell you how the wheel works. So rest his soul.
It's a great story, Joel. It's a great anecdote. Listen, fans, we appreciate you as always for joining us here on Pinstripe Post. Joel and I have fun doing these discussions, breaking down Yankees. It's going to be a fascinating stretch here. A lot of decisions to be made. What happens with Anthony Volpe? What happens with Stanton and Judge in the outfield in the DH spot? But they got two big series here coming up. I know you're going to be in Boston this weekend, and we're looking forward to talking to you next week. We'll see how the Yankees perform against the Tigers and the Red Sox. But, Joel, thank you as always, man.
Thank you, Ryan. And thanks, everyone, for watching.